It is very cold out there this morning. Although,
how cold is it?
If you look on TV and you look at some of the reports, especially nationally, you'd think we've never seen any cold like this before. Wasn't it just this cold last week?
No, it was.
Apparently
but
not.
This is only, listen, this is global freezing.
Global freezing.
And it's only because of Donald Trump. It's Mother Nature's way of getting even with those of us who elected him.
I do have to say that when that wind kicked in yesterday and it was cold, it was brutal. And imagine what's going on to the north. 81, I believe, is closed to buses and tractor trailers. But in that, it's blizzard conditions up there, as they're getting feet of snow along with this wind. So we don't know anything about bad weather, I think, as of right now. Let me go to, and we had an awful fire yesterday. We'll talk about that, and there was a fatality. And in Ilion, they had a pretty bad water main break. And when this stuff happens, when it's cold, I'm assuming the cold probably plays a role in the reason for it and the cause. But it's tough for crews to get things fixed up. Let's get an update down in the valley in Ilion and parts of Frankfort here this morning. Chuck Lester, who's on the village board. What's going on down there, Chuck? How bad is that water main break?
Well, we've had to declare a water emergency in the village. The mayor just did that several minutes ago. We've been in contact with all the appropriate agencies to set the action plan and process. The problem we're having, it's an 8-inch main that runs down Behringer Road, and there's all kinds of other loops. There's a 12-inch booster line that is not helping the situation at all. And we've been unable to actually get the water shut down so we could work on it. We tried to work on it last night with it live, and the pumps we brought in just couldn't keep up with the flow of water. We've come up with another round of valves that we're going to go see if we can't shut down and get this thing shut down so we can repair it. I'm not sure what kind of time frame we're looking at, but you just said it. Imagine working outside below zero in a ditch with water. It's not a pleasant situation.
Yeah. And that water was the water was flowing out of there. What we saw yesterday. Yeah.
It's it's an 8-inch main, and you imagine you can fix a 4-inch main with it live most of the time because it hasn't got the amount of volume. But this is an 8-inch main that's just been running crazy, and we've got to get a handle on it, and we're doing the best we can. I have everybody say a prayer for the guys that are out there working in the cold. Doing the best they can.
Do you have any? I know there's a boil water order that is in effect. Does that cover the entire village or just?
Yes,
okay.
yes, it would, because the pressure has gotten to the point where we have to put in a boil water advisory. Also, that's part of the water emergency. I made my coffee with it this morning, and I'm still on my feet. So
okay, you're still all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not scared, but the idea is that it's a legal precaution, and people should do what they're comfortable with. I've got my water is still going. The pressure is way down. Late last night, early this morning, the pressure was barely a trickle.
Yeah,
that's because they were working on it and trying to get things to shut down. It's just a 120-year-old system that probably some of the layout wasn't the best, and this comes back to bite you in the butt down the road. But our guys are dedicated. They're out there doing the best they can, and we're going to get this thing taken care of. That's all we have to. Well,
you'll be in a better position even in the weekend where temperatures are going to go up into the upper 20s. But these next 2 days, it's going to be so frigid for those crews.
No, I stopped at the site yesterday. Then I met down here last night. We were here till about 7:30, 8 o'clock with the guys trying to figure stuff out. We had guys out in the field, and they were calling us back. We were monitoring the clear well and the water pressure, because those are the two most important things. If you see that, and plus we have a flow meter, we were checking that and trying to analyze, okay, we shut this valve down, did the flow go down or up? And it's, well, like I said, it's just another day at the beach here in Ilion, and we get kicked in the butt, but we don't give up. We keep fighting, and I'm very proud of the people we got as employees, and they've all jumped in and no questions asked. It's just, hey, we have a guy out on compensation, and he blew his knee out, and he's actually come in to help us too. So,
and just
everybody's stepping up, and I'm very proud of the people that are stepping up for us.
Talking to Chuck Lester is on the Village Board in Ilion, water main break, and they in some cases the households are out of water, but there's a boil water order that is in effect right now. Manansky.
Chuck, when you replace, you said the pipe was an 8-inch pipe. Would you just repair that one little section of it, and how long does it take to put that back into the ground?
The repair itself would be relatively simple if we could get the water shut down. If it's a ring-around break, what that is when the ground shifts, the pipe actually snaps like somebody cut it with a saw. But these pipes on Behringer Road have had a problem where I think it was a manufacturing defect, but, the pipe is probably 60, 70 years old, and it actually splits where there's like a seam and the long the way it runs laterally, and that's what's happened in the past with those. So obviously you cut out a section of pipe and have to install a new section with something like that. A ring around break, a lot of times there's clamps and couplings that we can put on. And if it is a small split that runs laterally, we could cut a piece out, temporarily repair it with basically a clamp type system, and then when the weather is going to treat us a little better, get back and fix it permanently. Plus, we've got some valve issues too. One of the valves down at the base of the old hospital is putting water up through that too. So
is there
not only have
still,
to fix that on Behringer, we got to fix that valve on Main Street.
Is there still water flowing out of there?
Yes, there is.
Wow, and that's a lot of water coming out of the
It's been going since about I don't know. The old man got up 2:00 on Tuesday morning, to use the restroom, and before you know it, you see there was brown water in the toilet. So what that means is that the water was riled up. And I was probably one of the first ones to use it, so I got some brown water. It eventually cleared up because it was flowing.
Yeah.
But so this has been going since early Tuesday morning, and the guys actually responded to the site 2:00 Tuesday morning, and I don't think any of them got much more than a couple hours sleep between then and now.
Michael says you might want to use your stilts to get down in there, and they might be calling on you for this. So.
None of that stuff.
Chuck, of course, is a village board member in Ilion. I appreciate the time, Chuck. Thanks so much. And good luck.
Bill. Thank you very much.
Over there. All right. Imagine that. If you saw how much water was flowing out of there yesterday, that's been going for now over 24 hours. Holy cow. Chuck is the guy that you'll see in the Boilermaker that's always dressed, or parades, whatever. Used to. I'm not sure that he's still doing it. He's also on a hip commercial. I don't know if the stilts, a hip replacement commercial for, I believe, MVHS. I don't know if the stilts caused the hip the hip didn't cause the stilts. Anyway, they're in a tough position down there in the village of Ilion. To the north, they're in a tough position because of the snow. Talking about feet of snow, still blizzard warnings in the northern counties. And cold, frigid temperatures along with wind. It's pretty brutal up there with zero visibility in spots, especially when you get over to Tug Hill. Syracuse last night had an awesome performance. The good team showed last night. The team that could shoot showed last night, and that was that was a really good game. So why couldn't they play like that on Saturday? I do not understand.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it isn't about you can say, well, it was a different defense. Yeah, it was a different defense. But they couldn't get a shot to drop on Saturday night. Last night, battled 31 points.
Yeah.
He couldn't be stopped. It was unbelievable. A great performance by Syracuse. All right, we have a lot more to get into here today, including that horrible fire in New Hartford. It's not often you see these fires that break out in the daytime, but this did happen. A neighbor saw smoke and flames, called authorities. And I have to tell you, they were fighting this fire yesterday in the middle of those high winds and snow, because snow was coming down. In some cases, it was a whiteout and almost zero visibility. And you can imagine that snow or that wind blowing and fanning the flames, which made it very, very difficult for them to put that fire out. Samantha Colosimo Testa is not running for the 6th ward for her council seat.
No.
We talked to the guy who's running for that seat. yesterday. So she is not running, but I think she's going to be running for something.
She's going to be running for something, and I spoke with her briefly yesterday to get her on the show, and there was a little bit of confusion because I had said, well, I saw that you had given Joe your blessing yesterday, and she said, whoa, what are you talking about? Whoa. And, oh, Joe Beatrice. Yeah, I give him my blessing.
Oh,
yeah.
Marino.
So,
Joe Marino will also be on
right.
later this morning, and he has announced that he's running for mayor in the city. I don't know if you've seen, there's a book out there, a guy by the name, he's a local businessman and author, David Anthony, who owns some wedding venues, and I don't want to mention which ones. I'll give you the rundown coming up because I don't want to mention the wrong ones. I mean, he doesn't own that. I own that. Sorry. But he does. He deals with a lot of weddings. And he's written a book called Don't Let Your Wedding Be the Death of You. And I got to tell you something. For somebody that's done weddings, I've seen it happen. People, especially brides, get very, very frustrated and stressed to the point where this is supposed to be a time where they're having a good time.
Right, and they just are
complaining
about everything.
They cannot allow themselves to have a good time. So I love the title. I think it has some legs. I think it'll do very well. The Pioneers, Utica College Pioneers, are home tomorrow night and Saturday night. This is big, and I guess I didn't realize it. The league that they're in right now, the conference, this newly organized conference, now has an automatic bid in the NCAA tournament. It used to be. The Pioneers could win their conference, and then you'd have to sit around and wait to see if they would get an at-large bid into the NCAA tournament. Now they control their own destiny. If they win their conference, they're in the tournament. I think that's a pretty big deal.
Which is nice, too, because I think early on, now they're having a phenomenal season now, but early on that they struggled a little, so I think that the committee that would decide that would probably hold that against them, but luckily, that's not the case anymore.
It's so cold out there in the Midwest. Apparently, they aren't used to it in the Midwest. I don't know. I thought it got pretty cold out there, but they're all going nuts over putting boiled water into a container and throwing it into the air.
Yeah, I've seen it done before.
And watching it turn into steam and actually, I think
it turns to snow, Bill.
I think Steve Hawks sent me a video of his wife actually doing it. She was in Chicago. It is that cold. It does. I just kind of feel like it bursts into steam more than anything else.
No, it's like a whole plume. Like literally, if you throw it, it's like it was snow. Yeah.
You'd only know, though, I think the only way to do it and to do it properly is to actually throw it onto someone. Because then they can say, yep, that's snow. Or no,
I'm burning.
No, that's still hot water. Don't go doing that, I guess. Anyway, here's some audio of them pulling off this amazing stunt. Sarcasm.
Negative 44-degree air temperature in Minneapolis right now. My kind of stuff, pot of boiling water. I'm going to do a little heat versus cold.
It's amazing how we can do these things on radio. We have no clue what it actually looked like, right?
Well, based on his reaction, he was pretty excited about it.
In Kentucky, the governor, by the way, you ran a story about Kentucky has decided to cancel crime, right?
Yes, in Grand Rapids, too.
And I believe I believe somebody pulled that off in Syracuse yesterday.
Yes, no crime allowed.
No crime allowed because of the cold. The governor in Kentucky says, what is going on in America? We're getting soft because we're canceling school over cold weather. We're seeing a lot of it right here. Several school districts in the Louisville area closed yesterday. The temperature was 5 degrees. Some kids had to wait outside 30 minutes for their bus. It is Kentucky. But anyway, here's the governor saying this is getting ridiculous. Everybody's turned into wusses out there.
You know, now we cancel school for cold. Come on now. I mean, there's no ice going with it or any snow. I mean, what happens to America? We're getting soft, and I do appreciate it's better to err on the side of being safe, and I'm being only slightly facetious. It does concern me a little bit that in America, on this and any number of other fronts, we're sending messages to our young people that if life is hard, you can curl up in the fetal position somewhere in a warm place and just wait till it stops being hard, and that just isn't reality. Just isn't.
I don't know how different this is from when I went to school. Although I will admit, when my parents went to school, they had no shoes on their feet and they were walking uphill.
Frostbite was something they got if they got lucky.
That's right. If we're lucky, we got frostbite. But I kind of remember If you live in a school district where there are a lot of kids who walk to school, once it gets down into that really way below zero, and if there's any wind, I do remember them canceling or delaying school. But listen, you can only do it so much before all of a sudden you've used up too many snow days and you're taking time away from their spring break or their winter break.
Maybe because I do all the snow days, or we, collectively, but we're in charge of organizing all the school delays.
You hate it.
I feel like it happens a lot more than when I was even in school.
Yeah,
I feel like we had to beg and pray and plead for a miracle to get a snow day.
Don't you remember when you used to like snow days, and now today, because you have to actually put them on websites,
it's awful.
Broadcast them, compile the list, run around the building, make sure the other 4 stations in the building know what's going on,
and then don't get mad about it.
You now hate it. It's kind of funny how that works. 6:44. Tanya Powers standing by right now from Fox News. Good morning, Tanya.
Good morning.
Now, are you at this Christian college conference?
No, that was down in D.C.
Okay. So I think it's pretty cold there, too, but not like we're experiencing. And I'm assuming pretty cold in the city, too. How bad is it for you guys now?
Right now it's 4. I think the wind chill is minus 12.
Yeah. You know when that's really at its worst is when you fall. For some reason, the concrete feels harder when it's 4 degrees. You fall down, you hit your knee or whatever. Yeah.
I can attest to that because last year I did fall on some ice.
That'll get you.
And it was not a big time. And it's just insult to injury because you're usually wearing 100 layers and you've got this huge coat on. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of like a weeble when you're trying to get up because...
You look like the guy in there.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what was the movie? Christmas.
Opposite direction, you can't get up instead of you don't fall down.
The Christmas Story, was that the movie?
The kid, he couldn't get up.
The kid couldn't get up. Okay, so tell us about this Christian College Conference in D.C.
Well, this was yesterday. I think the headline from the event, which was, by the way, the thing they have every year, where all of these presidents of Christian colleges go, and it's a yearly conference basically that they have, and it was spoken at by Nancy Pelosi as well as the Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, and I don't want what Betsy DeVos said to get lost in this because. There was kind of a deadline to what she said. She was speaking, about several things. But one of the things that has made the headlines, which should, is the fact that yesterday was the deadline for the public comments to go to the Education Department in response to these rules that they've proposed to change about how schools handle sexual assault allegations. And that is a really important one because it's gotten a lot of noise on different angles of this. People are very happy. Some folks are very happy that they're going to go through these rules and regulations and change them. There was the guidance that was from the Obama administration about how to handle them. The Trump administration wants to handle them differently, and so these comments, I think tens of thousands, I believe 100,000 as of Tuesday night at midnight had been sent in, and then you had yesterday was another high traffic day for a lot more of those.
Isn't some of the battle over what transgender issues and that sort of thing as well? That came out of the Obama administration, or does that play no role in any of this?
Well, the main part of what has got people so vocal about this is because the way that it's kind of being couched now is that she says, and I'm talking about Betsy DeVos when I say she wants to rewrite the need. She said that it's needed to balance the rights of assault survivors with the accused. Yeah. So that's kind of where the pushback is coming from. People who are already saying, look, it's hard enough to report sexual assault on a campus and, hope that somebody does something about it or that it's heard or that it's mediated in some way without narrowing the definition of what sexual harassment is, which this would also do if this goes through, that's what brought the flood of comments.
It is kind of funny how they're able to handle the situation in public schools, yet they really never passed any legislation. I know they didn't in New York State, and federally, they really never got around to passing any legislation when it comes to Congress and sexual harassment.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're talking about schools, I mean, some of the the colleges and universities pushed back and said, look, we're not law enforcement. This is you're putting the onus on us to have. This would allow people to cross-examine each other in a live hearing.
Wow.
yeah, so I mean, it could definitely get contentious, and it, like I said, it could result in fewer people actually coming forward. I mean, the amount of folks who come forward to report stuff like that is already, not huge.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say, hey, this would, keep other folks from coming forward and saying this is what happened. So.
All right, interesting stuff there, Tanya. Thanks so much. Stay warm and stay on your feet.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. All right. Tanya J. Powers from Fox News. By the way, Al Roker from NBC has come out in reaction to the Kentucky governor saying America is getting soft because we're closing school over cold weather. He has responded this way. No.
And by the way, I just have to say, this nitwit governor in Kentucky saying that, we're weak. These are kids who are going to be in sub-zero wind chills. No, cancel school. Stop it. Adults, if they want to be out there, that's great. These are our children. I'm glad you're not a teacher.
Wow. Wow.
You know.
So I do say that when the wind is whipping, and it was yesterday, if you're going to be out there for any extended time, you're probably going to get frostbite. But you got to kind of protect yourself.
I do agree with Al Roker, but
Rams wide receiver Brandon Cooks presented their locker room janitor and his son with 2 tickets to the Super Bowl, along with airfare to Atlanta.
On behalf of the team and organization, we would love to invite you and your son Josh. Round trip, Super Bowl, come hang out with us. You mean so much to us. This is 2 tickets to the bowl.
Oh my God.
You'll be able to keep this as well.
Oh my God.
Memorable time for you and your son. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's a dream come true, man.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Thank you for everything.
I'm like, that little boy, man. I'm like, oh my God, maybe one day I'll get to go.
Very nice. And he said, and by the way, when you get there, the mop is in the closet to the right of the to the locker door. So,
what I was thinking is
pretty nasty there. They haven't cleaned it up very well.
You see a lot of times when there's a big surprise like this, people are like, "Oh my God, are you serious? Are you serious?" And if they're like, "Nah, we didn't get you tickets, man. Get out of here."
And the other part of this too is now whenever these surprises happen, it used to be things would just happen. Today, when these surprises happen, you have to know you have to perform, and not everybody performs the way you want them or you would expect them to perform. Some people, when excited and appreciative, aren't as open about it on the outside.
Right.
They have nervous reaction to it.
But today, you've got cameras everywhere.
It'd be great
everybody tapes everything.
Right, he's on video. They're shooting it with all their iPhones, and they present him with the tickets, and he's like, "Wow, that's cool, man.
That's nice.
Thanks."
And then it goes back to mopping. And then they stop their cameras, and they're all looking at each other like, "Screw that. Give us those tickets back." Yeah. You got to perform today. Red Bull did a video where Rams quarterback Jared Goff recites all the typical things football fans say, starting with, "I'm just going to say it." Here we go.
Okay, I'm just going to say it. Tom Brady's really handsome.
Oh, there you go. And how do you feel the hype has been going for this week's game? Do you feel that this is going to be a big letdown? Numbers are going to be down. It's the first time in a while, although I guess we did hear it last year and the year before over the anthem thing. But it's kind of the first time in a while where you've heard people say, "I'm purposely not going to watch this game."
Yeah, and
a lot of you've got the controversy going on with the Saints. You have the fact that the Patriots are back in. I don't know. Isn't the event itself just so big that it's almost bigger than the game itself?
I do
parties
think so.
and
I completely think it is. I mean, all these people who might be going to like a party and they're saying, "Oh, I'm not going to go this year because New England's in it again." What are you going to sit home alone?
Right.
Well, not only
not
that,
watch the game.
You've got New England in it again, which nobody wants to see, and then a good majority of football fans who don't believe the Rams deserve to be there. So they're like, "Well, I'm not watching for that."
But you still got a Super Bowl party, right? It's like saying on Halloween, you know what? There haven't been any good masks out this year.
Yeah, the costumes suck.
I've decided, Nixon's getting old. It's just not.
Put that mask away.
It just isn't anything. And half these other ones don't even look like the people. So I'm done. I'm not going out on Halloween. No, they go out on Halloween and they celebrate. And I think the same thing. Super Bowl has become one of the biggest holidays to celebrate. One of the biggest party days.
Are you watching the Super Bowl?
No, I'm not.
I think so.
Oh, you?
I don't know.
You're going to watch it.
Of course I'm going to watch it.
He said he threw a little bit of a he was like, "Damn, I'm not watching the Super Bowl now." When
New England
pulled it
won,
off.
yeah, I was like, I can't believe that. I was pulling for the Chiefs.
And Manaski has been attempting to quit smoking.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing? It looks like today's not as easy of a day as it's been, or is it?
No, you know what it is? Andrew runs around like a crazy man putting together the list of school closings and delays, and not only do we provide them for this station, Andrew does, but I actually take care of that for some of the other stations, so I'm in here
So
and I'm out of here.
you're also someone who doesn't enjoy a good snow day anymore.
No, I do. It's just, yes, you're right, I don't.
It's changed.
No, it's not your snow day.
It's not a snow day means a work day for everybody
it means
else.
extra work day.
And the study, I'm sure you've seen this. I sent you a copy of this.
Yes.
But the UK study that is out saying that e-cigarettes are more effective in helping people quit smoking than any of the other products, including the patch and gum, according to a new study of British adults.
Well, I can see that because when I'm at my worst, and I have to be honest, I smoked a couple of cigarettes yesterday. I'm basically out of patches, and that drove me a little wild last night. So anyway, but I can tell you, I do have a vape device. I don't use it that often, but when I'm really like, oh my gosh, I have to have a cigarette, doing the hand to mouth and the sensation of exhaling the vape does really come. It doesn't taste anywhere near as bad, I'll say, but it's the sensation is close to having a cigarette.
And then the problem does come in where they say that the vaping is something that is causing some people to smoke. Like kids will begin to vape thinking it's okay, and that's the big concern today is that they go from that to smoking real cigarettes.
And they get addicted
I guess,
to nicotine.
and they become addicted to the nicotine, which is a real issue. All right, we're going to run down the list of school closings and delays. There's a huge list, and despite what the Kentucky governor says, it is pretty cold out there. And I don't think we have the wind here that we had yesterday and last night, but it's still cold. We'll run down that list coming right up. 6:55 at WIBX.
When it comes to your heart health, there's a dedicated group of cardiologists whose focus is to provide the best patient care. And they're right here, close to you. Central New York Cardiology has offices in Utica, Rome, Oneida, Herkimer, and Lowville.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Gaffney, founder of Central New York Cardiology. At Central New York Cardiology, we have an outstanding team of cardiologists right here in Rome at our offices at 91 Perimeter Road. We have invested in a world-class team of cardiologists, and they are here to deliver great care when and where you need it.
CNY Cardiology exceeds the highest standards for quality and performance, delivered with the care and compassion often missing in today's medical world. They treat you like a real person, not just a number or a procedure. Find us online at cnycardiology.com or call 315-733-7598. Home is where the heart is, so why trust your heart to anyone else?
Good morning, WIBX 950 News Time, 6:57. It's 3 below under mostly cloudy skies. The following schools are closed: Brookfield, Camden, Canastota, although staff is asked to report for Superintendent's Conference Day. Also closed: Central Valley, Dolgeville, Frankfort Schuyler, Herkimer, Herkimer-Boces, Little Falls, Morrisville, Eaton, Mount Markham, Notre Dame, Oneida City Schools, O&D Young, Poland, Richfield Springs, Rome City Schools, Utica City School District, and Utica Academy of Science are all closed. Following schools are on a 2-hour delay: Adirondack, Clinton, Fort Plain, Franklin, Hamilton, Holland, Patton, Madison Central Schools, Madison, Oneida Boces, Mohawk Valley Christian Academy, New Hartford, New York Mills, Oneida Herkimer, Madison Boces, Oppenheim, Ephrata St. Johnsville, Oriskany, Remsen, Sequoia Valley, on a 2-hour delay with no AM pre-K or BOCES. Also on a 2-hour delay, Sherburne, Earlville, Stockbridge Valley, VVS, Waterville, Whitesboro, West Canada Valley, and Westmoreland. Also, the Oneida County Senior Nutrition Program has been canceled, and the Mohawk Valley Institute, the MVILR, is closed today. Full list of school delays and organization closings at WIBX950.com.
All right, and with that wind chill, we are below zero. Certainly, we probably won't even reach 10 degrees today. It might get up pretty close to about 10 degrees, but other than that, we're looking at pretty cold temperatures for the next maybe 28 hours or so, 24 hours to 48 hours is what I meant to say. But then things begin to warm up on the weekend. And then by next week, it's crazy. We're looking at temperatures by like Tuesday and Wednesday that are up near almost 50 degrees, right? It's just nuts, this up and down. And you know what happens when that happens?
You get pneumonia.
People get sick.
And you get the
flooding
flooding in Whitesboro.
I don't believe that's at all true, but that's what happens because there's a lot of snow on the ground. Are we going to be looking at more flooding all over again?
Well, those ice jams, too, will probably be a problem.
Oh, yeah.
So just be aware of that. We'll give you another update coming up on the school closings.
So CSX has less than a week to go in here and rebuild that
They
bridge.
got a lot of work to do. And Michael asked this question. I wonder if Syracuse has a team chemistry issue because this team is a bit schizophrenic, and it is. How do they go from playing so well to playing so poorly? And we've seen it at least on since November. We've seen it at least on 2 occasions. So something to wonder about. They play again on Saturday against Pitt, I think. Coming up, we'll talk to
people from that town.
We will now. I've got people texting in. You forgot my town. We'll talk to Samantha Colosimo-Testa coming up in a second. She's currently the 6th Ward councilwoman, and what have we learned? She's not going to be running for that seat.
Right, and in fact has already given her support for somebody who's running for her seat.
I've heard some rumors. I don't want to steal the thunder away, but I've heard some rumors, and maybe we're wrong, but I've heard some rumors. Also announcing yesterday, and I wonder if the mayor announcing the gala is that what it's called?
Beneficiary of the gala, yes.
Right, making that announcement yesterday had anything to do with the fact that Joe Marino was announcing yesterday.
So what was the beneficiary of the gala?
The ARC.
Oh, it's the ARC. Yep. But it was
Isn't it the ARC? I thought it was the ARC.
Oh, sorry, the ARC.
Oh, no, but it is it's kind of a story that might steal a little bit of Marino's thunder, because I don't think there's any love lost between the two. It would seem from our standpoint, watching and seeing everything go down, right? So it'll be an interesting race. Keeping in mind, normally when these things are announced, we're talking about a primary that will occur, and this would be a primary. And by the way, the mayor is not announced as of yet. I'm assuming he's running.
Yeah.
But that would make for a primary between Marino and Mayor Palmieri. That would occur in June. That's the big deal here, since the legislature has changed all this. Samantha Colosimo-Testa, what do you know? What do you know? Is the mayor running? You think he's going to run? Palmieri, what do you think?
Do you think he extended his term limits for nothing?
Oh, you are hitting me
is
hard.
ready.
You're coming right back at me.
She's like, "What's Bill want to talk about?" I said, "I don't know."
Come on, guys. I mean, he wasn't at Joe Marino's announcement, so where do you think he's going to
Okay. You mean he wasn't there? I'm surprised.
I know, so was I.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
There was no Utica chance there.
So, what are you doing? Our question is for you. You're not running for the 6th Ward, your seat in the 6th Ward. Can you announce what it is that you're going to do or you're thinking about doing?
I'm not. I just kind of just threw it out there just to break some chops. But, I mean, really, no, there's no decision that's been made as of yet to anything that I plan on doing. I think that once they get a list of potential candidates and they go for screenings, then, see who's running for what. Because as of right now, I don't know of anybody that's running for anything besides the person that announced for the 6th Ward.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, can I ask you, you would have been eligible, am I right, to run for another term as the 6th Ward representative?
Yes. When they extended the term limits, I could have ran for that seat, yes.
So
but that would have been, if you would have done that, that would have really been in contrast to you were for the term limits remaining where they were, right?
It would have been a little hypocritical, so I guess I could have, fought against it like I did, and then just, if it can't be, I might as well join them.
Screwed it. Let's just do it. But you could run for another seat. You could run for something else.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
But
like I said, I haven't made the decision yet, guys. I mean, 8 years of being in politics, I mean, it's really, it's been one eventful ride. I was fortunate to represent the 6th Ward for as long as I did. I mean, we've had some, tough battles, and, again, I mean, you got to give somebody else a chance at some point in time. So I think Joe Beatrice will be a perfect candidate for that seat.
And then can I at least talk about the rumor that's out there?
What's that?
That you're running for county clerk?
County clerk?
Oh, I'm saying, is that?
You can't.
Oh, you can't?
It was just an election last time.
I thought if Dave Gordon could become county executive, he was going to eradicate
the county clerk position.
And then
bring it back.
Bring it back so that Samantha could run for it.
There we go.
Oh, get out of here. I mean, you never know nowadays what's going on. I mean, look what's going on in New York State. I mean,
crazy,
I can't imagine what this election's going to be like now that, because think about it. Now people have to get signatures in about 3 weeks.
I know.
If they want to run for any type of office. And I don't think anybody was thinking about upstate New York and what the weather's going to be like in 3 weeks, trying to knock on people's doors at 5 o'clock at night in the middle of the dark.
Well,
in negative weather.
Yeah, you're right. You don't know what the weather's going to be like. And on top of that, with the changes in early voting, this is going to put a huge, huge stress on boards of election around the state. All of these.
Without a doubt, 10-day voting now.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's great that that people are getting the opportunity to vote. But 10 extra days, I mean, I think that it's going to cost the county, and hopefully New York State puts some money into it, because talk about unfunded mandates.
Yeah,
I mean, that's going to cost the county millions to run an operation like that for 10 days. Because now, and I was even talking to Rose Grimaldi about this. That now they're going to have to get the sheriff's department in to lock up the ballots.
Yep.
And, I mean, you're talking about an extreme cost. I had somebody comment on my post, and they said, "Why don't you talk about the infrastructure?" There was a water main break in front of a restaurant, and a small business is closing. You think about it, the millions of dollars that could be going now towards extra days of voting could possibly go into the infrastructure. And the crumbling infrastructure in New York State.
And that was my argument on this free college or college benefits for those that qualify that have parents who are undocumented. This new law in New York State, and I would think that we've not done a very good job of taking care of our own public schools, of helping kids that are citizens of the United States. Not
Guys,
to mention,
I got $100,000 in student loan debt. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's unbelievable to become a teacher in New York State.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's growing up without a father. You know what I mean? I had a single mother that raised me. And it's like, how do you go about qualifying people for certain things? It's like here you put a person that's lived in New York State and their whole life, and ran for public office and became a teacher, and look at the crumbling debt that they're in, and not everyone wonders why I have 17 jobs. Well, that's why, and it's like it's crazy to think that the money that's wasted, it's for anything.
Sure.
I mean, look at all the money that's wasted in New York State. I mean, in the country. I mean, it's absurd.
Not to mention,
it's unfortunate that the students and things like that in public schools take a beating for it.
But ask you,
what does a Utica council person make?
$15,000 a year. $15,000 a year. Well, that's like when I first ran for office. I always laughed at myself because I said, "Oh, it's a part-time job. You shouldn't call it a full-time job, and you shouldn't get benefits." And the first year I got on the council, we actually eliminated health care benefits for council people and any part-time positions within the city. And I went and I said we have to submit hours to to New York State. Every quarter or something like that. And I think it was the first 3 months I was in office, I worked 21 days a month. After your phone calls and budget meetings and things like that. So, I mean, it is a tough job, and I think that anybody that does take the responsibility of representing 11,000 people have to understand that it's not just 11,000 people you represent. You make decisions on a citywide basis.
Sam, the reason I brought it up is, you were talking about your student loan debt, and I know the council's considered a part-time position. The mayor's gig, though, is a full-time job, and it pays a lot better.
So therein lies the question. There were a lot of rumors. I want to go to the rumors, if you don't mind. There were a lot of questions
Let's
about...
go to the rumors.
Samantha.
Let's just say thank God Topics shut down, otherwise there would be a lot more...
I know.
That's why we're here. We're to pick up where they left off.
She's going to use it as a campaign issue. I fought Topics.
So
right?
There were a lot of rumors out there that you were considering a run for mayor.
I was. I mean, don't ever think that it didn't cross my mind at one point in time. But, again, I went to school to become a teacher, and I wouldn't leave my position of teaching fifth grade for anything. And I, want to focus more time on my kids. And, like I said, politics took a beating on me for a part-time position. And, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm losing a little bit of patience for a citywide position. I mean, look at the stuff that's gone on the council in the past year. I mean, it's
crazy. Yeah.
Getting involved now with even for this primary. I mean, it's going to be nasty. There's no doubt about it. I mean, and that's why, when we talked about, previous times of us, saying the mayor not getting along with Joe Marino or myself, and, there's been some type of contention within the city between the legislative body and the administration. And think about it. if the mayor never extended his terms, he would have never have looked at us as competition. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
looked at Joe as competition, looked at myself, because he would have been termed out. He would have never been able to run for another political office. So why he always looked at and, said we were political, he always looked at us as political figures because he never knew whether or not we would have been competition to him. And that's something that, has hindered any type of political process. If you never got along with them to get along, then you never were part of the, cronyism inside city government.
I have to ask you, do you see, because the reality is this move by the state legislature moving this primary up into June has completely thrown a monkey wrench into a campaign for a lot of people. People who thought they were going to run now realize they are way behind the eight ball, and they're really reconsidering running because they don't have enough time to get a campaign together.
Well, here's the thing. The Democrats definitely had a bigger hold on being able to, whether or not that they were going to run. I mean, they had to know coming down the pipe whether or not that this was going to pass.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from any type of political insider, the Democrats definitely had
I think you're probably right.
A step in the right direction, compared to Republicans in New York State especially.
So my question is, do you feel there will be a Republican, and you want to tell us who you think that is, running for mayor?
I got to be honest with you. I had this discussion yesterday with a couple of people from the Republican Party, and I got to be honest with you, I can't name one person that I think that would want to run, or have mentioned that they considered running. And I think that if you look at Palmieri's election, the first time that he ran, when he ran against Mike Seminaro and Bob Cardillo, the two Republicans split the line, and the Democrat was able to to get right in, because those two battled it out. I mean, this could be something really similar as the Democrats being able to battle it out, and the Republicans slipping right in, but the third party lines are definitely going to matter in this race, because if you do get, say the mayor gets, the independent endorsement or the conservative endorsement, obviously that's not the case. I'm just, throwing an example out there. That's going to mean that they'll stay on that line through the general election.
Right, and here's the thing: it gives them all of that. So let's say one of them obviously is going to win, one's going to lose. So let's say the loser in this case. They go from June until really August, September to be able to figure out, boy, do I stay on that line? Do I have a shot? Could something happen from then between June and September that might prompt them to say, I'm going to be on the line now. I'm going to actively campaign because I think I can win. So that's what happened
with Bill Morehouse when he ran for Tom Choler.
Yeah.
When Jim Zecca beat him on the Democratic line, he ran on the independent line and actually beat Jim on that line.
So
I mean, again, anything's possible inside. Anything's possible. I mean, and that's the whole thing. Why this primary and even the general election is going to be extremely tough. I mean, because now you've hit a guy that's been in office. Both candidates been in office for 8 years. And it's tough to beat an incumbent, but it's definitely going to be interesting because I think Joe's going to have a really good platform to run against Palmieri on, and it's just being in the the inside of knowing what's been what's been going on in City Hall for the past 8 years.
And then one other that I'll throw at you is, and we'll have Joe on, by the way, next hour. One other question I want to throw at you is,
am I going to be Joe's chief of staff? Absolutely not.
I do believe the rumor is out there that you are considering also a run for council at large. Is that true?
Like I said, I mean, I just kind of threw it out there. After that whole debacle of them voting on legislation, that was kind of my wit's end with everybody, and I kind of just threw something out there that I might consider a position citywide, and I really didn't put too much thought behind it. And I mean, now with the election being 3 weeks away, I mean, I think that I'm going to have to make a decision if I do decide to run for something.
Yeah, and then
what it would be.
As a Republican, will you endorse Dave Gordon against Tony Piceni? What do you think?
Well, there are two Republicans, aren't they?
Yeah.
How would I give one endorsement to one?
I'm just saying.
Another?
Then will you endorse Tony Piceni over Dave Gordon?
Yes.
I figured you'd say that. Yeah. All right.
Breaking news. She's going to endorse Piceni.
Does it really matter? I mean, I'm going to be a little peon if I don't have to run for politics anymore, So who's going to really matter what I think anymore?
I want to bring in Matt, who has a question for Samantha. Matt, you're on the radio with Samantha Colosimo-Testa. Good morning.
How are we doing this morning?
Good. Matt, what's up?
Good. No, I just had a question for Sam. She had posted on Facebook earlier about how she was going to be on your show, and I had made a concern about the infrastructure of the city. I do have a small business here downtown, and again, we had another water main break here which is right in front of my business. So I was just curious if there was going to be any addressing with what the city's going to do, with that issue. Are they making steps towards putting any money into the infrastructure, or are we just going to sit around and just keep having water main breaks left and right and addressing the issues as they come up?
All right.
You should have been listening earlier. I actually already addressed it.
Okay, so we'll just get into it again. Obviously, you did talk about the water main break, and by the way, Ilion is in the midst of a really bad one right now.
Yeah, they got it. They have them all the time down there.
Yeah. So, Matt, what's your business, by the way?
It's Out of the Way Cafe right on Charlotte Street.
Okay, and Sam, you want to address that?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, the Mohawk Valley Water Authority was there. They're already working.
No, they're right out front. I'm watching them, as we speak.
Okay, so they are out there. Okay.
Sure,
I'm just curious. The curiosity comes to where it's one after another. And, common sense and third-grade science tells me that water does freeze and it expands, and 200-year-old pipes are going to break. Are we going to take steps into fixing these old pipes before the problems occur, or is it just going to be a continual domino effect?
Matt,
everything. Matt, every community in the Northeast, I think is
the biggest problem we face right now.
I totally agree with you, Bill, that this is the biggest problem we face. And the reason you don't see municipalities put money aside for it is because the price tag on it is so – I don't even know what it would cost to rip up all the road and just do Charlotte Street in Utica. Think of how small that street is. And I know your business is right there. Local governments do not have the money to rip up and replace all the piping underground. And you're right, it's a problem where water freezes. So you could put a new pipe in, and it's 20 below, and then it's 40 2 days later, and then it's 20 below, and the pipe freezes
and the heating
snaps.
and the roads and everything. So, I
hate to say this, but it's not going to.
It is an issue that has to be addressed. We have an old infrastructure in the Northeast. And it is probably the largest problem that we face that we do not pay much attention to until there's a water main break somewhere.
Absolutely.
So Samantha, what is being done on the council to look forward down the road into being able to come up with a way to solve this problem? Or is there arguments? I know there were arguments over paving the roads, if you recall. That was a big battle.
You don't remember when the mayor had vetoed our paving plan, stating that there wasn't enough money inside the budget to be able to support the plan. And we ended up putting that 15-year paving plan together about 3 years ago. And part of that plan, we sat with the Mohawk Valley Water Authority to let them know what streets we'd be working on. That way they can kind of coincide to fix the pipes and whatnot. So we're on year 2. We've paved probably about 30 miles of road out of the 212 miles of road inside the city. And we're just going to continue on that path to keep doing it. You're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Just for Utica.
Just for Utica.
That's why I'm saying I'm not sure if the state has any plan. The state.
That's the thing. We're wasting money here and there on numerous things. I mean, we look at the Tappan Zee Bridge. It cost $50 million just to rebuild it, just to name it the Cuomo Bridge. Yeah. I mean, rather than investing, this type of stuff in the infrastructures. Think about it too. New York State hasn't they're talking about lowering AIM funding. They're talking about lowering CHIPS funding. They haven't increased our state aid in the past 8 years. But yet the municipality still has to stay under a 2% tax cap while dealing with the infrastructure and whatnot, and trying to figure it out. I mean, like I said, the part that the Common Council did was put together that 15-year paving plan and just continue to work on it. I mean, over the past 23 years since they first put it on the referendum to mandate the $2 million, and when we increased it to 3, I think they paved 23 miles of roads in over 20 years inside the city of Utica to 212 miles of roads. I mean, so we've done we've paved more roads in 2 years than they did in the past 20 years.
All right, Matt, I'm assuming that doesn't answer, Matt, your question. Unfortunately, at some point, not just politicians, but I think business owners, property owners, and the people of this state and our communities are going to have to say, there's going to be a tax, and we're all going to pay a little more, because we have to tackle this problem.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's something continuing failing system.
Yeah. I am out of time, guys. Samantha, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
And Matt, good luck with your water down there and your water main break.
Absolutely.
All of that stuff. Thanks.
I mean, but you would break the bank.
Yep,
you would just break the bank.
I'm going to tell you, it's going to take a tax. There's always a sin tax where they'll add taxes to your cell phone. There's going to take a very ugly tax, and no politician wants to do it because they fear that if they mention the word tax, that they're not going to get reelected. They begin campaigning for reelection the day they get elected. So who's going to be the one that's going to come out and make that big announcement? Hey, we got to pay for this somehow because everybody's going to be alien pretty soon. We're not far off from that.
So how about we do it this way? For every dime bag New York State sells, they take 10 cents and they put it in a fund to replace all the piping.
No one has even brought this up. This is brand new here.
Yes, put the pop in the pipes.
The pot in the pipes.
Pot in the pipes.
Pot for pipes.
Put that in your pipe and repair it. How about that one?
And what is slang for the pipes? What do they call them? Isn't there slang for pipes?
I don't know. I don't know the slang.
They got bowls and pipes,
and bongs and bubblers.
There's an ad campaign here, folks. There really is.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's brave enough to run with it?
No water main in this bong.
Birthdays for Thursday, January 31st. Samantha Bender is 11 years old today. Samantha, we love. She's awesome. She's 11 years old.
She is awesome.
She visits us every Christmas, and I love the Mellow Cups.
Mm-hmm. You and the Mellow Cups. You, Samantha, and the Mellow Cups.
Samantha, happy birthday. Steve Ventura, 50 years old today. He works up at Nexstar. Jason, see if I get this right, because Krzemian. Do I have that right?
I think that's about as close as we're going to get.
Krzemian, Krzemien, celebrating a birthday today as well. Jason, happy birthday. Steve and Samantha gets a cake from the Florentine Pastry Shop on Bleecker Street in downtown Utica. We have a free money question coming up. It's worth Thursday $500. So get yourself ready for that. We'll do it coming right up at WIBX. Don't let your wedding be the death of you. And let me tell you something. That does. People go nuts over weddings. Lori, did you go nuts over your wedding when you got married? Are you married, Lori, in New Hartford?
No.
You didn't go nuts?
I was married.
You were married.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say the reaction
tells
nuts
us
all we need to know.
After she was married.
Yeah.
Okay, Lori, here we go. Do you watch TV? Do you stay up late?
I do not.
Okay. I wish you did.
I have to be to work at 6.
Oh, okay. So you're at work right now. Let's make this a profitable day. $500 from Hobico. Here is your question. This celebrity was on TV last night talking about his age and how he made baseball history. I love baseball history because it means spring's just around the corner. So he was talking about his age and making baseball history. So which birthday did Billy Crystal celebrate in 2007? Which birthday? Ready, go. So basically, how old was he in 2000? You're going to go with 65. Was he 65 years old in 2007?
Oh, man.
He was actually 59. So his big thing last night was in 2008, he turned 60, and he made baseball history. So in 2007, he would have been 59.
How did he make baseball history?
I'll explain that coming up. I'll get you there. We will give you, from the 72 Tavern and Grill, we'll give you a gift card. It's a $25 gift card, and Davey's going to take care of you, okay?
Thank you so much.
Ready? We're setting that up. The pickups next week.
Next week. I've got to clear all that up. Okay, Lori, thank you so much. Here's this was on Kimmel last night. Billy Crystal talking about my favorite time of the year when the weather breaks and it's finally baseball season again. Although usually for the first month and a half around here, high school baseball, you freeze your rear end off.
Yeah.
Trying to go to games. But anyway, Billy Crystal from last night. Check it out.
Who did you hit against? Do you remember?
Paul Mahallam.
Oh, wow, you do remember.
Yeah, oh, you don't forget that.
Yeah, do. How'd you do?
I did.
So I'd give you a background. In 2008, the Yankees, he's been a Yankees fan his entire life. On his 60th birthday in 2008, the Yankees let him bat in the first inning of a spring training game against the Pirates, which became baseball history, and here's why.
Pitch was outside. I didn't see it, but it sounded outside. The second pitch, I hit a shot down a right field line. It was just foul, and somebody in the stands yelled, "Double!" And I was petrified because if I had to run a second, I'd have to stop twice to pee. So that's 1-1. Then he throws 2 balls in a row, 2-1, 3-1. He throws me 2 cutters, 90 miles an hour, and I struck out. But the crowd gave me a standing ovation, and A-Rod calls timeout and gets the ball that I struck out with. And they stopped the game. It's the first time in the history of baseball to give the ball
to him. So there's the history made in baseball.
I was just going to say, am I the only one who who finds Billy Crystal extremely not funny, and then he just made me laugh really hard like 3 times.
I think
it was the baseball, not the
it might
Billy
be.
Crystal.
They were good baseball jokes, though.
I do think Billy Crystal is very, very funny. In studio right now, Derek Clark, who can also be very funny at times. Good morning, Derek.
Thank you, Bill.
So you have just around the corner, of course, Cinderella, but you have some other announcements. We'll get to Cinderella. What else is going on? Friday, tomorrow is a big day.
Tomorrow's a big day, yes. We're participating in Go Red, so it'll be Cinderella Goes Red.
Okay.
We'll be partnering with everybody here at Town Square Media.
Everything is red tomorrow.
Everything is red tomorrow. Right. So this is our 3rd year participating. We did Pippin Goes Red, we did Cabaret Goes Red, and now we're doing Cinderella Goes Red. So fortunate for us and the Go Red campaign that we always seem to have a show right around the time that the Go Red happens. So we will be offering tomorrow, one day only, from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. for Cinderella Goes Red, 25% off all tickets purchased in the Broadway Utica office.
All right, so you got to go into the office.
You have to go in the office, and you have to be decked out in red. That's the qualifier. If you don't have any red on,
what if they walked in with red socks and that's all they had? They'd have
they need to have a red sweater, a scarf, a hat.
Okay, so you got to be decked out,
showing off your red.
Okay. You got to be showing off your red. Yeah. We're going to take pictures of you and post them, and you'll get 25% off Cinderella for February 7th.
Will you give
7 p.m.
Will you give some consideration to? Didn't you have a color blindness? And you got the glasses.
Yes,
which was an amazing.
I wear them every day,
which was an amazing thing. So you want to make sure it is red, and you want to make sure
he'll have the glasses.
You are decked out, and Derek will have the glasses to examine.
Red is not my color.
Right.
I wear red rarely. I wore it for Karen Carey the first year. Same sweater I wore the second year. I think I even wore that sweater on your Christmas show. It's my only red sweater. So I will be wearing that red sweater tomorrow.
Well, just for the record, no one looked at you and said, "Boy, he does not look good in red." I don't know if anybody.
Or that's the same sweater he wore last year.
No one said that either.
I'll just throw a different shirt under it.
I just recall that colors moment and this whole going red thing. I remember that being a big moment on the air.
Yes, it was.
For you, which people who take that for granted don't have any clue.
You know, in the Cinderella Goes Red thing, you can actually mix in an old show and create a third show. You could do Cinderella Goes Red with the Kinky Boots, and then you could create a whole nother show.
You're right.
You know, who needs a glass slipper?
You just gave me a ton of ideas.
To be honest with you, if I were you, I would begin writing a new screenplay to Cinderella Sees Red, and she finally gets revenge on that horrible
Or
woman.
it could be Kinky Cinderella.
That could be, too.
I like that idea.
That's already been done. Sorry. I think that's already being sold across the street, actually, I think. Okay, and then you have another... Sorry.
This morning?
A little slow.
Little Andrew's on 7-second delay. You have an announcement, too, for Broadway Utica.
Oh, yeah, just a couple of changes that's going on Broadway Utica. I'm very excited. I'm ready to celebrate my 3rd year here. And for 3 years, I pretty much have... I had to learn everything from the ground up. I mean, I didn't walk into this job knowing anything about Broadway. So I feel like after 3 years, and especially on the marketing side, the marketing is so important with our shows. People don't realize that these are Broadway shows, and they're brands. Every show is its own brand. They're very particular what you can say, what you can't say, how you portray the brand.
Some are more tough than others. Yeah.
Right. Are you press ready? Everybody has, that talks about a show.
What photos you can use?
What photos you can use. Yeah, we went through that. My fault. Sorry. Hello, Dolly. But so there's a lot of variables that go into the marketing, and it's a lot of money gets dumped back in the community, even here on WIBX, Town Square Media, all of the affiliates, advertising partners. So I finally felt like it was time to kind of let that go a little bit. And I've been on a search for a marketing manager, and I'm happy to and thrilled to death to announce that that she accepted the job. But Danielle Bella Padula,
okay,
who was an event planner, she was a marketing person for a very big organization here locally, will be coming on to join Broadway Utica effective March 4th as our marketing manager.
That's awesome. Really awesome.
And that's going to take us. I mean that. the shows, again, as I get in, I'm doing the 2019-2020 season now. I'm wrapping it up. We're in the final stages. The marketing piece for these shows is so important. I mean, some of these shows are big and they're huge brands for next year, at least the ones that are on the plate right now.
Yeah.
And so this position is going to be so important in getting us one step forward because, again, at the end of the day, other than payroll, what do you spend the most money on? It's branding and marketing.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, it takes a little off your plate, huh?
And I can focus on working bigger and better shows.
That's awesome. So it continues to grow, and probably none of this would have ever even have happened without the expansion at the Stanley to allow these bigger shows to come in. So it's just everything gets elevated to a higher level.
Absolutely, and it helps me guarantee the producers, and when I'm out making our pitches, it helps me guarantee that we are going to execute. Hello Dolly was the most challenging experience I've ever had.
Big names,
professionally,
big names in that show.
And from the marketing point, it was it's like dealing with a whole nother show. Because the producers are working on the show and the directors and getting the show up and going and working on the star power. And then you have a whole nother team of people, 10, 11 people that are just working on the marketing piece and watching every single step I take. So
now you got some help with that. So.
Right, now I have some help.
All right.
So it'll be
Very
wonderful.
cool.
We're very excited.
Cinderella is one of those big shows. It comes up next Thursday. And there are still tickets that are available.
We do have one more announcement, too. Also, too, part of our direction and our vision and expanding our board of directors, I would like to welcome Heather Gaetano and Teresa Dunn to the board of directors for Broadway Theater League. And they are two very well-respected community members, but also educators.
Right.
And
that's awesome.
We're going to be able to bring somebody into the mix that has exposure. I've worked with all of them, both of them on the education side. Heather Gaetano has, she's great on the sponsorship and the raising money and those types of things. So she'll be able to contribute from that piece. And they both are educators.
Teresa teaches music at the House of the Good Shepherd.
She is the House of Good Shepherd, yes.
Yeah, she does very well. Does a lot of work, great work over there.
And Heather Gaetano was also with the House of Good Shepherd. She has since moved over to the BOCES. As administrator, and so we have some really good bookends, and that was so important to me, at least, to bring on a couple educators because we had Bernadette Eichler for so many years. Everybody knows her as the superintendent of schools for Utica. She worked well into her late 80s, I believe, and then her partner was Carol Fox. We lost Carol Fox 2 years ago, the day after our Rent performance. That was a big hit for me as well, and she was an educator. So it was really important for us to
having a good tie with education.
Yes,
definitely.
Especially because I like to focus on the youth.
All right, so it's big stuff happening at Broadway
all
Utica.
Good stuff.
Congratulations.
We're all so excited. Thank you.
How do people get tickets? Obviously, you go to BroadwayUtica.com for Cinderella.
BroadwayUtica.com for Cinderella. It is February 7th. It is one night only, 7 p.m., and if you went on previously to this week onto Google and searched it, there's a chance you might pull up last year's information.
It's funny how that stuff just lingers out there, isn't it?
Lingers out there.
Yeah.
So we did put in for a correction, and they are now redirecting that click to the new information.
Okay.
So thank you.
So it is. It's only because we stumbled across that,
right,
and announced it.
And I don't ever, I didn't. I googled it. I saw it,
but it's so odd that it would fall on the same day, right?
Yeah,
the same dates.
I was looking at the weather report. I'm like, Rachel Witter, if you're listening, get out your snowmobile. You might be picking
Cinderella
again.
Yeah. All right, Thursday, February 7th, we're going to give away a pair of tickets today and tomorrow. If at any point you hear had to be your favorite band in the 80s, Lordy.
Jason and I were
Cinderella.
The other morning. We're like, what songs did Cinderella sing? We were trying to.
There aren't that many. Well, actually, they did a lot of them. It's just you don't know.
Is he the one? Did he have the big blonde hair?
They all had a lot of hair. If you put their hair together, it's a lot of hair. It's a lot of hair.
They were going to go with Rapunzel.
Hair band.
They were hair
anyway,
band.
if you hear a Cinderella song coming up before 9 o'clock, be the 7th caller through the phone lines. 315-736-0186 is our phone number. To buy tickets, 315-724-7196.
That is correct.
Or go to BroadwayUtica.com.
Yes.
Derek, as always, congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
7:56. Hold tight. Coming up, this you might not even realize this, but it's a local book. It looks pretty national to me, and I think it has national reach. The name of the book is Don't Let Your Wedding Be the Death of You. And it's written by a local guy. We'll talk about it coming up, 7:56 at WIBX. In right now here this morning is Jim Haid with the Utica Rescue Mission. And there's an event called Walk a Mile in Their Shoes. And this is something to think about right now. First of all, I want to ask, how are you? Do you guys do anything different when you get really, really sub-zero temperatures like we're currently experiencing?
As we know, the governor a couple of years ago came out with that executive order to try and get folks off the street when it's below 32 degrees. So we've been taking folks in left and right.
So it doesn't have to get zero?
No, it doesn't have to.
Yeah, okay.
But we're at probably about 65 guys last night.
Do you get an increase when it's like this?
Absolutely.
Oh, big increase.
Absolutely,
yeah. And we're going to do a couple of days like this, and then it's going to be like springtime.
There you go.
Up near 50 degrees. Welcome to our new reality and weather here. So you have the 8th annual Walk a Mile in My Shoes event, which is coming up on February the 2nd, which is coming up this weekend. It's on Saturday.
Yes.
So tell us about what the event is and how people can get involved. It's a walk, right?
It is a walk. We start at Westminster Church, or right at City Hall there at Hannah Park. We walk to the mission, walk around the block of the mission, and then walk back to Westminster Church, where we can get coffee and donuts and so forth. And really, it's just to raise an awareness of what it's like to be homeless out on the street, particularly this time of year.
It'll be a little warmer on Saturday, but not much.
Not much. I mean, but we see folks every day on the street, whether it's warm or cold. But this time of year, and particularly this weather, is just brutal on those who are homeless.
Yeah.
We have individuals, even this time of year, coming in sneakers. Some of them don't even have socks on. No winter jackets. Maybe they might have a hoodie on. That's tough for them. And we see them and we don't always know what to do.
Well, a lot of it is because we don't understand. We're like, well, there's so many places where you can go and get help. Why would they be out there? But in some cases, there's something going on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's causing them to not protect themselves.
Right. I mean, there are. I mean, we know that many of the homeless struggle with mental illness. Some have struggled with addictions. Mm-hmm. Some have just broken relationships. There's, for every individual, there's a different reason.
Yeah. All right, so it's $25 a walker, $15 each for groups of 10 or more.
Yes.
And how do they go about doing this? It's 11 a.m. until noon on
11
Saturday.
to noon. Registration starts at 10 o'clock at Westminster Church. They can register online at uticamission.org. They can call us at 735-1645, or they can just walk in that day and get registered. 10 o'clock that morning, right at the church. Register yourself, your group, your family. It's certainly a family event. We do see little kids out there with their folks. Might want to think about bundling them up certainly this weekend, but we always have a great turnout. Usually a couple hundred folks at least turn out for this.
Cool.
To, again, raise awareness to what it is to be homeless out on the streets of Utica.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
What you're doing out there. We certainly appreciate it. And, again, you're going to have another couple of nights of this.
Couple more nights of full
Sub-zero.
house. Yes.
Yeah, full house. Got a break. We'll talk about that wedding. You're getting married and your kids getting married or somebody's getting married and they're just going nuts. They go nuts to the point where they ruin the thing that's you're trying to accomplish the happiest day of your life, and it turns into the most miserable because you put so much pressure on yourself. So the book is Don't Let Your Wedding Be the Death of You. We'll do it next to WIBX. It is not out yet. It is coming out when?
April 6th.
It'll be out on April 6th.
Noble in Utica.
So you'll have a signing and all that stuff and all of that. So you're known as the Wedding MD. It's the Wedding MD concept. You have how many venues, wedding venues?
6. There's 6 wedding venues.
Okay, so let's go through them. You have
Dibbles Inn.
Dibbles, of course.
The Lodge. The Gatsby's, the newest venue under construction. It'll be a speakeasy-style wedding venue. That's going to be.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's.
Where
will
that
cool
be?
One. That's going to be on the same. We call it the campus. So
okay, all over there.
The Cannery, the Castro's, which is at Sylvan
Beach,
and the Messenger.
Wow, you're a busy man. Friday, Saturday, Sunday's got to be killer for you.
I watch a lot of people get married, sometimes several times.
So sometimes,
weren't you just here 3 years ago?
That's
it
right.
was so good at your place. We're coming back, but I'm coming back with somebody else.
That's right. If you do every venue, the last wedding's free.
Okay.
It's like a coffee,
like
card we give out. You have a card?
Great idea. I'm just kidding. So explain the book. And listen, I used to be a wedding DJ years ago, and realized that this is good business. You want to make some money, you really can make some money in this business.
Well, I mean, brides are freaked out when they walk in.
They are.
I mean, it's their whole lives they've been thinking about this. The groom's no help. They all say the same thing. Just tell me where to show up.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Whatever she wants.
Whatever she wants.
Until she comes up with somebody he doesn't like, and then it's
exactly.
like,
the only thing I try to do, and it's so funny, I talk about it all the time, is try to keep the groomsmen sober.
Yeah.
Like that's my goal. But the
boo.
They don't know.
Well, at least standing. I mean, I did
tough.
one where
they get tough when
he was gone, and the best man had to fill
the best
in.
man was gone. The worst I've ever had was year 2. So this is year 12 for me. Year 2, I opened the doors to let the bride go down the aisle, and they're all drunk. The groom, the groomsmen, the best man, the whole thing, right? So the best man isn't a brother, and the next guy over is a brother. And as the bride's walking down the aisle, the best man turns and just knocks out one of the groomsmen, and this huge melee starts.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it was
What was it over? Somebody.
I don't have any idea.
You breathe on me!
That's right.
Well, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he'd found out that somebody had been messing around or something.
I ran past the bride, who was running back away from the altar.
Yeah.
I ran past her going down and jumped into the middle of a fight, and that was the end of that wedding. So I don't know how it turned out. I'm sure happiness ensued after that. It was lifelong,
Wow.
I'm sure. Oh, crazy.
So no refunds on that one, though.
No refunds. No refunds.
Nope.
I'm not
Sorry.
responsible for stupidity.
Wow. That is crazy. I once did I had 4 systems, so we could do 8 not easily, but we do 8 weddings in a day. And I had a guy that would set up my stuff because I got to the point where I was kind of sick of carrying equipment, and back then I was playing albums. Anyway, Dibbles in. My guy, it was a rainy day, spring wedding. I'm walking in, everything was good, except I look on the dance floor, and I guess it wasn't the floor, but it was carpeted in there. I don't know if it was like that when you took it over.
There's nothing left. It was pretty awful.
Oh, it was carpet, and a very light carpet. And you could see my setup guy's shoe marks. He walked in the mud, and he walked all across the floor. And you literally could see every step he took.
Right to the equipment.
And the old owner there, it's a wonder he didn't punch me out, because he was a feisty guy. And I'm going to tell you something. It's a wonder we didn't get kicked out. It was a mess. It was awful. It was there the whole wedding.
That you're no longer allowed, so that's no problem.
I don't do it anymore. I don't do it anymore.
Okay.
But so how are you advising brides to not? Because you could put yourself through hell.
Common sense stuff that they just don't get, right? They don't have the experience. They've done this once, maybe twice, honestly. But seriously, most of them are in there for the first time. They're super nervous. There's no advice from anybody. You have mom who's given advice that was relevant 30 years ago. Yeah, and Pinterest has changed this whole industry. The last 5 years, there's so many visuals out there. Nobody gets married in a church anymore. Grandma doesn't understand why there's no receiving line. Nobody eats any cake anymore.
Yeah.
It's just there's so many things, and you have mom trying to force these old things on you. The husband's no help. You're trying to make these decisions, and you're scared to death. So they talk about bridezillas. It took me a couple years to figure out these girls are just scared to death. So that's how don't let your wedding be the death of you. That's how the whole thing started. It's really just common sense. It's a super easy read.
So this is going to have to be a book for anybody getting married. They're going to have to get this book. You're onto something here.
It's an hour read. It really is just kind of a common sense how to pick your vendors, things to think about when picking your DJ. It's not just what type of music he played. I mean, I'm sure when you started, when I got married years and years ago, you had to find the DJ with the right CD collection.
Right.
Are you a country DJ, or are you scratching for me? Like, what's happening?
Yep.
And today they all have all the music, so that's not the fact.
There's no longer, I'm sorry I don't have that song as an excuse. You can't use that excuse anymore. Yeah. Of course, we have a story with, what's his name? Finale. With that, too.
Yeah.
But it has changed so much. And also the prices have changed a lot. You'll spend a lot of money on your video, a lot of money on your photographer, and your DJs. Some of these DJs are charging $11,000, $12,000 $1,500.
Well, some of them show up like Kiss on tour, like they take over the whole venue.
Yeah.
And
they set up their they got a giant rack with lights, and
you got to make sure that you want that. Like, there are plenty of DJs out there that it's their day, it's their show. This is their time. It's and they take over the whole event, which you might not want.
Right.
How do you handle the? So you walk up, and they're like, "Okay, here's another whatever. We want you to keep going. We want the DJ to keep playing. We're going to keep the party going." I had that once where somebody came up, handed me the money. I'm like, okay, I'll go another hour. And the owner came out and unplugged because they didn't clear it with the owner. So there's a lot of little things that you don't.
There's tons. And you got to really have that ahead of time. Having that timeline set going into this whole thing is crucial. And making sure that the people at the venue and the DJ, boy, they're controlling. That's your MC for the night.
Yeah.
So you have to be on the same page with that.
What do you recommend in terms of the stuff out there that you're going to see on Pinterest that's a fad that, boy, I know this looks good there, but do you sometimes have to recommend to people?
Like mason jars? I never want to see another mason jar in my life. Like, it's just over with, right? So
that was hot, right?
It was really hot. And I'm sorry to say it, but a lot of the barns now are starting to just dwindle. Every bride that comes in says, geez, my last 5 weddings were in barns. I don't want a barn.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of and I have some rustic venues, so you have to kind of move with you have to go with the flow on that and make changes to your venues.
Well, that's a good point, too. I think a lot of the pressure comes from weddings that the bride has been in or are inviting those people to now. Like, oh, my God, hers was so good. I've got to top it. And I think there's a lot of that element, too.
For sure.
Because, the people that you're inviting to your wedding, you've been to their wedding.
And it's not just the same cookie cutter anymore. So how can I outdo the next person? We've into some really fun stuff. And again, that's coming back. That's what the book's about. It's just giving them that guidance.
That's pretty cool. It is boy. You can spend a lot of time and a lot of money, and ultimately you put all of this effort into it, and they put so much pressure on themselves that they're not happy when it's all said
That's
and done.
the very last line of the book. Is come wedding day, just give it
have
up.
fun.
Just enjoy. It's the fastest day of your life.
It is.
That is a blink. So. Other good points of the book. I certainly try to keep the price down and give good tips on doing that, as well as stretching the day out so it just feels longer because it's the snap of a fingers and you're through it.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Is there one area topic, something that falls under an umbrella where brides often stress about it, but in hindsight, it was a 10-second thing, and you don't even remember it anywhere.
Oh my God! Seating charts are the biggest thing.
Yeah, there you go.
They spend who's going to sit with who, and they don't like each other, and they're going to fight.
Nobody ends up sitting.
Yeah,
where
half the guys are standing at the bar, and the women are all socializing
Nobody's
wherever
across
they want.
the room because they wanted to talk to somebody else. Like and they spend so much time on it. I mean, you could pick them out of a hat; you'd be in the same ballpark. But
I mean, people will find. I mean, I guess you got to do the seating chart. You got to have that, do you? Or
for sure, you do have to have one just because people do the movie theater thing where they leave a seat between them, so all of a sudden a table of 8's a table of 6, and now the venue has to bring a table in. You don't want that. You don't want it ever to look like there was a mistake that happened for sure.
And cousin Leo can't sit next to Aunt
example,
Sally.
though.
So
Well, I'd imagine I'd like to do this again where people can call in with questions. We're not far from the big wedding season coming up, and
the launch of the book.
It starts in May. I'll be doing a Q&A at for all the brides that want to come in and ask questions. And
how many venues do you have? How many? You've told me this, but I have to ask again because I'm in disbelief. And how many weddings can you do in a day?
All right, so you said we could do 8 in a day. That means when you were doing weddings, they did them in the morning and then in
morning,
the evening.
afternoon. Yeah,
that no longer exists. Fridays and Saturdays are about 50-50 now. In fact, more people will show up on a Friday than a Saturday. People don't realize that. But we can do 6 in a day. So a busy weekend for me would be like a holiday weekend, Labor Day or Columbus Day where they have the Monday off.
Right.
And we could do last weekend, Labor Day, I think we did 16 weddings.
Wow.
Or that weekend. Those 3 days.
So you're
Friday,
dealing
Saturday, Sunday.
you're dealing in basically a situation where if you pick a venue, that's it.
For the day.
That you're doing one wedding at that venue because there's so much going into it. And a lot of it has to do with the internet. You're right. They're seeing stuff.
So much visuals.
I've decided we're going to have, doves, and then these Chinese lanterns are going off. And the
drapery, the furniture they bring in, antiques, the whole thing. I mean, we'll have a wedding Friday night, and the staff will stay overnight to set up the wedding.
Wow.
Well, that's a good point, too, is your staff. you can only have so many people working
That's
for
right.
you. You can't have them working 24-hour shifts.
Yeah, and just have amazing people. So
I have a daughter. I knew I was in trouble on her sweet 16 birthday when I'm like, we didn't have this crap at our wedding, okay? And our wedding was pretty darn extravagant, and this is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
So what's it going to be like when she gets married? I don't want to think about it.
How about just the lighting now? If
Yeah.
you're not a DJ that has lighting and photo booths and all, I mean, it's just
booths,
constantly changing, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun, though.
My friend Brad would go out and do weddings, and he'd bring dancers along. So they'd have dancers that would go out onto the dance floor and
to get them
and
riled
get
up.
people going. And my favorite as a DJ was always a good dry wedding. Those are always the best.
Those are a lot of fun.
Lots of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We don't use chairs. We use beds. We just we wake them up for dinner. Wake them up for cake. Dance floor is always hot when there's no alcohol.
Yeah,
you
it
got to
is
recommend
the
a
best.
Sunday afternoon for that wedding.
There's
right?
no doubt about it. So, all right. Wow, this is good stuff. So, again, the book will be out. Which date?
April 6th.
April 6th, so it's just around the corner. Let's get you back in. I'd like to do it, David. So,
Can I get one clarification?
you have a website, too, which is really cool. What is that?
The Premier Wedding Venue website. Yeah, so
The
Premier
address
Wedding Venues.
is
no matter
Premier
which-
Wedding Venues. CNY.com.
And no matter which website you go to, so if you go to dibblesinn.com or canneryweddings.com, that's where you're going to end up, and it has an overview of everything.
Okay.
The one clarification, you said guests tend to attend a wedding on a Friday versus a Saturday. I'm more likely to do so.
Correct.
Is that because they get the day off from work?
I think so I can't tell you exactly why, and I started quantifying it maybe 5 years ago. So there's a lot of data into this, thousands of weddings.
Yeah.
And my guess is that they get to take time off work. It's easy to go from work, and most importantly, I don't think you screw up their weekend.
That's
it's
a big
hard
part
to
right
sit
there.
around all day on Saturday.
I was just saying the Saturday
wedding.
thing is people are like, you know what? I don't want to sit here till 4.
We went out to the camp. We went to the lake. We're out of the pool. We're doing something on Saturday. Oh, great! We got to go to this wedding. And I think that does stop. Let's just send a card.
You know what else is even worse than show up is the no-show rate, meaning people who say yes, they're coming.
Yeah, because they still on the.
And you catch a nice day in October, and 25-year guests all say the same thing. Oh, they won't miss us, and it's 40 people that are missing, which happens. It doesn't quite happen on Friday either. So your dollars are a little bit more protected.
All right, I want one more question. I gotta ask you. So we all will come across the wedding dilemma at some point. Whether you're getting married, whether your kid is getting married, whether you've got to go to a wedding. So here is the question. I had a friend call me 6 months ago. I haven't been to a wedding in 10 years. What's the going rate? So what do you give? And should you bring a gift to the thing? Is money the best way to go? And, oh, by the way, I had a graduation party, and somebody snuck in and stole my son's box of money. So
I've never seen that. I've never ever
me either
seen
until that day.
Yeah.
But it was at our house, so we didn't have the security you probably would have. So what's the going rate? What do you give?
What you should give, people ask me this question all the time, it's probably $100 a head is the right gift. Now, people don't do that. I bring my family.
So a couple should give a $200. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. That if you go back to, but they're still giving the same
There's no
gift.
like a relationship rule, like it's a distant third
they
cousin,
don't,
so
though.
it's
I mean,
50.
My wife, you know what my wife's rule is? And maybe I want you to be honest. Tell me if she is a cheap piece of something or other. Her rule is it depends on where it is. So if I'm going to the VFW and it's going to be boiled chicken and ziti,
sure, of course,
then we're going to ask for some money. If you want us there, you're going to have to pay us to come. No, that's not true. So you give like $50 for that. But do you think that's fair?
I mean, I would say that by time a bride and groom are done with everything, they're looking at about $100 a person. So. Do most people know? Most people do $100 a couple, or even bring a family of 4. There's $100. You know that. So that's what I see most doing. Nobody wants a gift. I don't think anybody wants a gift. I don't even think
so. I think you're right.
I don't know. Some of those plates and fork combos are real.
You save that for your parents and your close family and stuff. And the last thing you want to be doing, and I remember the days when we would go to
they have a shower for that, though, right?
All of our weddings when I was growing up were at the town barn. That's where we did it. That's where everybody did it. And part of the day included sitting there
taking
and
the
watching,
animals out. Did you take the animals out of the barn?
But you'd sit there and you'd watch them open their gifts. Like, who wants to do that?
Yeah, nobody.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Don't bring gifts.
Nobody acts happy about it. Oh, great, another iron.
The Tupperware we took home from our wedding. It was just something I've cherished forever. And so did my dog. I guess I'm out of questions. I'm not out of questions. I could keep this going for a long time, but we're out of time. Again, the website is premierweddingvenuescny.com, or you could go to Dibbles or whatever. Whatever. You have a number of places. So
you can chase it down the same rabbit hole.
Okay, cool. Thanks. We'll do it again. Coming up, Nagel with his Beer of the Week. Joe Marino as well. He's running for mayor of Utica. Made the announcement yesterday. We have a lot to squeeze in here before we get to 9 o'clock. And Manaski is just irritated as can be because he's trying to quit smoking.
So I think I've been really good this week.
You have. This is such a better week than last week.
I think I came to a realization, too, in that I absolutely can do this. And I got countless emails, Facebook messages, and even people running into me, like at the hockey game over the weekend, saying, I used to be a smoker. Here's what I did. Knowing that so many people have done it and overcome it actually kind of makes it seem that much easier. So...
And you also came to the conclusion that you're addicted.
Yeah,
that there's an addiction.
Yeah,
Regina,
I guess I knew that, but
I think you called yourself a junkie.
In context, I mean, I'm addicted to cigarettes and nicotine the way a meth addict is addicted to that kind of drug, or you name the drug, or an alcoholic, and so putting it in that light, and then looking at myself in that light, it's like, wow, that's kind of pathetic. Is that what you're really dealing with? So mentally, I've had a great week so far.
All right. Well, Regina and Melanie are here to rescue your mentality. Regina Bullman and Melanie Adams, good morning. You guys are from the health department, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's funny because whenever there's a restaurant guy around and the health department's here, they're like, "Where are they?"
Yes, we don't work for. I don't work for environmental health. I'm at the clinic, so we're good.
No
inspections today.
Okay.
No,
All right. Well, that's good. But you know that he's trying, and you guys offer assistance.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
So, you guys had reached out. You heard me talking about it, and I figured, why wouldn't we share this information? It's still January. I'm sure there's a lot of folks looking to kick the habit, and you guys have classes going on.
We do. We have a partnership with Mohawk Valley Community College and with Mohawk Valley Health Systems and ourselves. We started it in 2016 to start looking at tobacco cessation and the need that we have out there for adults who need to kick the habit or want to for various reasons. So we started that partnership, which then led us to now having these free quit smoking classes that are held in different campuses on Mohawk Valley Health Systems. And they're taught by MVCC respiratory therapists. And our part is just organizing, getting the knowledge out there now. We taught some of the classes. We did some of the trainings in 2016, but we've kind of walked away and just let this partnership blossom. And this year we have everything all set for the year, and moving forward, people can sign up, and it's just this great endeavor to help people out in our community.
What percentage do you think that of people who smoke ultimately are a burden on the insurance system, on our healthcare system, on their families, people who are getting sick and dying? What is the percentage of smokers?
I don't have the percentage of that, but just working with the individuals in these classes in the past, and I did it when it first started in 2016, but a lot of their problems were their children were mad at them. They had heart problems. Their doctor said it's time to quit. They were obese on top of it.
That's their reasoning for quitting.
Yes.
So,
Yep. That they were told by somebody that it was time to jump on and move forward.
Yeah.
And we do have the bad news, and we hear all these statistics about the bad news. But the bad news is that tobacco smoke causes so many chronic diseases. It is 1/3 of the deaths from coronary disease is attributed to smoking, and smokers die on average 10 years earlier than non-smokers. So it's real out there, and the good news is that every attempt to quit is a good attempt to quit, and that's the goal, and that's what we have the classes for. Is that it's really a goal to make a quit attempt. So there's no right way to quit. the classes are just an option, and there are lots of options out there.
There's some group support, I would imagine, that goes on in there as well.
We're his group support here.
Yes.
Well, they do things like, what?
And
You
my
did-
punching bag.
You did what? Yeah, then he'll come in and beat us up.
So
It's,
is this your first time trying to quit?
No, this is probably about my 100th time. But I did learn this time absolutely that going the full 24 hours without a cigarette, which I would always kind of break down by lunch. I'll have one, and then once you kind of have the first, you end up into 3 to 5 to 10, right? And then you try to start over, and then by the weekend, I would just kind of be back where I was. Long story short, going the full 24 hours was really a good thing for me mentally. To do that. And I know, like, the American Cancer Society does the 1 day, I forget what it's called.
Smoke
The
out.
smoke
Yeah,
out.
in
right?
November.
That's the idea, go the full 24 hours. So you have classes at the St. Luke's campus, St. E's, Rome Memorial. Is there a cost for the classes?
It's free.
It is free. That is the best part.
It is.
Classes usually run between 5 and 6:30. More information, we'll put this on our website as well, 798-6400. But if you're looking for some support and some tips, there's certainly a great place to do it. St. Luke's, St. E's, and Rome Memorial. And the number again, 798-6400 for all the information.
They just came out with a study that said that vaping actually does help more than the patch, more than other means of quitting. What do you guys think about that?
So
it's a British study. So
yes, vaping for teenagers.
Not good.
Not good at all. Their
Yeah.
brain is not developed. Their body is not developed. It hurts on that end of it. So definitely saying no vaping for teenagers. I don't know what the studies show in America for adults. That's something that I would have to look up. But definitely, if you're under 25, probably need to stay away from that.
And the best way to not smoke is to not smoke.
Exactly.
Once you start, it really does it gets a hold on you. It's nicotine. So anything else you guys want to add?
We do have a option for Smokers Quit Line, New York State Department of Health.
All right.
We can throw that out there. There's a number. It's 1-866 New York Quits, which is 1-866-697-8487. And that's a great resource. We do share
And what do
that
they do?
in
You
class
call
as
it and
well.
you...
So that's where I got my patches.
They talk you
my
down?
lozenges.
Oh.
No,
Yes.
they call and
Yeah.
they can
It's like,
give you
hey,
some
come on, you can do it, man.
nicotine
Exactly.
replacement stuff
Yeah.
that I got. And I told you I panicked yesterday because I saw I had 2 patches left. But I guess the well has run dry as far as that, because they'll give you to get you going, but then it's probably like a 30 to 45 day supply, and then you're on your own.
The reality is we save a lot of money if people quit smoking. There's a lot of money in healthcare and everything else that they get saved. So, okay, one more time, if somebody has an interest in saying this is it, I'm done. I'm gonna take your class.
Call the Oneida County Health Department, 798-6400.
All right. Should you get your flu shot? Should people get a flu shot?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
I knew you were going to
Yes,
say
and
that.
you can still do it now. You can call the clinic, or you can go to any pharmacy that offers it.
What do you say to somebody like Andrew who says, "Oh yeah, but last time I took the flu shot, I got sick, so I'm never going to do it."
No, you still need to get the flu shot. You don't get sick from the flu shot.
All right. And we don't even have to talk about measles. Don't be stupid. Get the measles shot. These people drive me nuts.
Yes. No, everybody should get the flu shot.
Okay, Andrew.
I know I saw him walk in the room. That's why I said it again.
Thank you. 8:47. We'll come back. Thank you very much. We'll break to WIBX. Nagel's in studio. What have you brought in for us here, Nagel, this
Good
morning?
morning.
Good morning. This one has a little different aroma.
Yeah, it's got kind of a little bit of funk to it.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
It's a Berliner Weiss. We call it Zurst.
All right.
So Berliner Weiss is named for, obviously, Berlin, its origin. And a lot of German cities have what they call their house beers. So Cologne has Kolsch.
Wow.
And Dortmunder comes from Dortmund. And this is Berlin.
Have you tried this, Joe Marino? Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, guys. It's a little early for me, so
well, a sip.
maybe
I don't want to push it
I was
on
talking
you,
to
but,
Nagel. Have you guys talked about this contraption
That is the
yet?
coolest.
That's the coolest thing I've seen. in a long
growler
time.
tap system thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's a company out of Portland, Oregon makes it. It's called Growler Works. And so that's pressurized. It's just like having the beer on draft.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how does the beer last longer in there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't lose any of the carbonation. Really.
That's
But
really
this is
cool.
a very lightly carbonated beer anyway.
It is. This is the most unique beer I think I have ever had.
Well, thank you. what makes a Berliner Weiss is
it smells like spicy.
It's champagne almost.
Yeah.
I don't get the champagne, but
so
you do.
it starts out as a wheat beer, and then it's fermented, and then it's given a little treatment with some lactobacillus, which is what makes yogurt sour, makes your milk sour. You know, it's that bacteria, and that re-ferments it and gives it a little bit of lactic acid kick, and that's what makes it so tart and dry.
Right. Yeah.
And
not everybody would like this beer.
No, not necessarily, but it is a very popular style. What makes ours unique is that we actually use a really cool little culture that we've been developing. You can do what's called a kettle sour and just add lactic acid to the beer, and it'll taste like something similar to this, but not as rounded, not as smooth.
All right.
And we wanted to be authentic with this. So
and this is a buried acorn beer.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
it's available in Syracuse.
Wow,
this
is good.
Available on tap anywhere else, or
maybe soon.
Okay.
Probably.
Otherwise, you got to get it at the brewery.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on out, see us
Which
on
is out-
Hiawatha Boulevard.
out near the Destiny USA.
Yep.
I was going to say, people who might like this are people who like ciders. It's almost
Yeah, it's
cider-like
got a
to
little
me.
of that, too. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Does that culture, Nagel, does that make the alcohol content go up, or does it change it at all?
It brings it down a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nagel, this is Joe Marino. Joe Marino.
No,
Nagel.
we know each other well.
And
I'm a
I know
big
that.
fan.
And he is now a candidate for mayor. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
I do have to say that the whole full disclosure thing has been asking, staring me down over there.
Yeah.
I was hired by your campaign to do media work.
Yeah, you did
So
a
with that
wonderful
said-
job on your other job, your private job. You did great work, and I appreciate you helping me carry my message.
All right, thank you. With that said, it never works to any advantage, so actually it's a disadvantage. We're going to hammer you now.
Yeah, now right, I know. Now I can't say no, I'm unavailable.
Sorry.
Right.
I want to start right out with, you did say, you made your announcement yesterday you're running for mayor.
Yes, sir.
And you did say, I've heard you say it, and I think you've said it in interviews, that you think there are, in some ways, the mayor is doing a great job. The city is moving forward.
Well, I didn't necessarily say that. Look, the city is growing in the tax rolls, right? The city, your tax bill is going up. That's what's growing. The real growth is your tax bill. The real growth is in violent crime. The growth that we have had is because of private investment and private investors. I mean, I know that some people are taking credit for that, but that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
The growth that we have had, in my opinion, has been in spite of the mayor in most cases, not because of him. I don't know that there's necessarily been the partnership that he talks about. There's a lot of words that come out, but the city, I'm really proud and honored that the people have a good feel for the city, and that's really true. That's the thing, but that's because of private investors, not because of one politician.
Because it is, when you look at everyone's talking, there's the city, the area has taken a turn for the better.
Right.
And you don't give the mayor that credit for that, or
No,
even the common council?
Listen, I could tell you, and I think people know, when you sit there and you take credit, when you steal credit for these things, I think that, people resent that. And I don't know that any politician is worthy of any credit, right? You got the Rob Eschers, the Frank Durosses of the world, the Frank Eliases, the Doug Allens and Jonathan Allens of the world with Bite Bakery. Those are the people that really said, I'm going to come back to Utica and I'm going to make it work here, as opposed to take their business elsewhere. And what I think the government's job is in that place is to help when needed. And I don't know that the city has actually been the one that helped, right? The state has been very good. The county's been very good. But the city hasn't actually. And numerically, over the course of the next, 6 to 9 months, I don't mind sharing the facts with people as to actually what we have done and what the numbers really do see. So when you say things, they're great, but you got to start proving them, and I'm going to make people prove it.
So like any other situation, you if you're a voter in the city of Utica, you got to look at a situation and say, okay, why shouldn't I vote for the incumbent? So give us, 3-4 reasons why you feel are examples of why a change is needed.
Yeah, look, I think that the city is on a massive trajectory to success, and I think that it needs new leadership, irrespective of the things that I'd like to do when I change. First thing I'm going to do, and I'll tell you right out, is I'm going to change term limits back to 8 years, either with a council that works with me or by charter revision through the mayor's office, because I think that once you start stealing referendums from people, the people lose the government that they've been trusting for so long. So I'm going to bring trust back to government. I'm going to hire a qualified public safety commissioner. I think that it's absurd to do 2 jobs even if you were qualified. But since, there is no qualifications coming right now, I think that the public safety departments, the individuals, the rank and file guys in the police and fire department, they need leadership that they can trust and count on.
Why is it so important to have a public safety commissioner? So, because the mayor would say, I've just saved an entire salary that can go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So why should that money be spent?
I think that the mayor has cost us money in that job. The $65,000 or $70,000 perhaps that you would pay that person, we've lost in spades in court cases after court cases. So the liability that it presents is innumerate compared to what you think that you're saving, even if you were qualified, which you aren't.
Yeah.
So those things are important to people. What I want my police and fire people to do is worry about saving me, not worry about what politician is doing. And what I want them to worry about the response time, worry about getting to my house and taking care of my wife and my family. That's what I want them. Right now, though, they're worried about who's in where and how do I get this out of this guy and can I get a promotion. That stuff is out of line. Take that stuff, take the politics out of policing and fire.
What is your take on the way the fire department has been handled in the last year? Because starting with Chief Brooks and all the way through a couple of really difficult cases, decisions have been made. Where do you stand on that from a common council member standpoint and a candidate?
Well, as a council member, you really can't do much in that way. But as a candidate, I could tell you right now, I think that, again, we're affecting the rank and file members of the fire department by giving them such instability. They've had 5 chiefs since Chief Brooks was unceremoniously walked out of City Hall. I mean, again, it's a political maneuver, not a procedural maneuver, and that I just don't think is fair to the people that are actually going out there saving our lives. They're going to have to worry about who the chief is and what their hierarchy and their their ranking officials are. I want them to worry about climbing a ladder and saving someone.
Right.
That's the thing that I think is most important. And the people of those departments have been given massive instability. I think bringing back a qualified public safety commissioner, someone who knows these departments and knows how to run them, and work with the chiefs who, by the way, do a terrific job.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to untie their hands from one politician.
I'm going to ask you. We have 2.5 minutes. Are you? I
No,
can
go
keep
ahead.
going if you want. Okay,
Go ahead.
I'll keep going. What about you talk about taxes and property taxes and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There is right now, the city has announced that there's a surplus.
There is a surplus, and I went to the great people of North Utica at their senior center for a North Utica Concerned Citizens meeting, and they asked me, how does the budget look this year? And I told them, congratulations, it's an election year. The budget looks magnificent.
Okay.
Every 4 years, there's a magnificent budget. But don't forget, you're still paying the 8% that you didn't need last year, right? These surpluses aren't on the backs of new revenue or less expenses. These are on the backs of the money that you're giving the city. So this surplus money is your money. And, I represent people, and the city of Utica cannot stand to wait every 4 years for tax relief. They deserve it every year. And I could smooth out that budget and not have a 20% one year and a 0% the next year. That's not fair to the people that I represent.
So you think it's a roller coaster? It's up and down.
I think it's a yo-yo. I mean, it's literally, every other year is a huge tax hike when, politicians and the mayor think people aren't looking. And then the following year, when he thinks that everything's great and it's his election year, you get a nice, bright, shiny zero. And again, when Social Security is only going up 1.2%, an 8% crushes people like that on a fixed income. So I don't think that that's fair, and I think that they deserve better.
You want to follow up on something? You have about 20 seconds.
20%? I remember there was a 7.5 at some point.
Last year was an 8%. The first year the mayor's tax, he asked for a 20%. Then it was, then it was a 4. Then it was a 10. Then it was a 0 on his election year. I mean, I have the thing about me that I have a unique perspective on is, number one, I have a qualification that I don't think most others have in terms of my finance background. But number two, I was there for 8 years. You can't lie to me. You can't say that you made the hard decisions and you cut jobs. You vetoed job cuts. You didn't make the hard decisions.
Joe Marino running as a Democrat. The primary is coming up if there is a primary. The mayor has not announced as of yet. But
I'm not running against anyone, Bill. I'm running for the ideas I have.
It could all come down to the primary. We'll see what happens. Thank you. Got to go.
Thank you, guys.